Hey, Fitzy here, back at it again with another one. Back on Crusty. We're doing rust repair on Crusty, strangely enough. This one here now, we got the door. The entire intersection of this door was gone, okay? The outer skin was all gone on the bottom. The corners were gone. I turned around and had to make the entire inner structure of the door as well as the outer skin. I'm going to show you how I did it, so stick around. So it's time to get back on Crusty. It's been a while. I want to do some more metal work on this car now. I got this door to repair. Get this all set up here now. Let's get up on 4 stands. Get the front all put back on it. But I got to bolt this door on because it's not even bolted on. And get that all lined up and whatnot. So I'll get this up on 4 stands here now. And get this door all fitted. And we'll start doing some work on the bottom of this door. So, I got it all jacked up, put on stands, and I got the fenders put back on at the front. I got them all bolted up. I got the doors all adjusted. What we're here today to do is to get the door bottom put in this car. Okay? Now, I wanted the fenders on so I can see all this here and get everything lined up and get the door lined up. I'm going to put the latch back on this door now so I can close the door so you can actually see where the door actually sits when the door is latched. A lot of people see rust like this on the bottom of the door, take the door off, lay it on the bench, weld it up. I don't like doing that, okay? I'm going to turn around and I like getting my panel started on the car. Once I'm happy with where that's to on the car, then I'll take it off and I'll fully weld it up, dress it, grind it, do it all, finish it off the car. But I'll start it on the car. I do that with all of them. You can never get this perfect, or you can never get this perfect. Right here, this edge here. And the way to corner everything off the car, okay? Even the bottom of the door. Sometimes you'll get that and it'll always go uphill or go this way, or it'll be too low, it'll be rubbing the rocker, okay? That'll be an issue. But for now, all I'm going to do is get the latch put on this now so we can get ready for the next step. So here's a close look of what we're up against. I have roughly about over an inch of the bottom of the door, not even non-existent, then it's bad going up along there, okay? Now, most times you would look at this and say, oh, that's good metal there. Let's make a small little piece to put in along the bottom here, okay? That would be your most logical thing to do. Problem I got with that, this is a large flat panel. It's going to be very hard to try to put a piece in here without that caving in on you, and it's always a nuisance, okay? Anytime you can take it to a belt line, it's probably best to bring it to a belt line. Now up here, we have a belt line going along here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the entire bottom of the door is what I'm going to do. It's the easiest thing to do. I can control the heat up here a lot better. Then I only got a small section that I actually got to get into filling. Instead of down here, if I did that, I have to fill every bit of that. Because I know when I weld that it's going to tuck on me in through there. It's probably going to tuck up here, but I got an edge to go to. And I can feather it out into this panel here. Now, this panel is straight this way, okay? But it's got a crown on it this way, as you can see. There's a slight roll on it going through the panel, going up to this here. So I'm going to have to put a roll on the panel in order for me to do it. On the outer edges, you can see it's just a roll on it there, okay? So this here is not a straight edge, okay? And same with that. This is not even 90 degrees, which is very unusual. Most times when I look at cars, this section here is 90 degrees, which would be about like so, right? But this car here is built on a bit of an angle. Usually got one door edge, so I got to make both ends on this door. So all I got to do is I'm going to have to fold my bottom edge and then start working on my corners over here. But I got the fender on it because when I cut the bottom off this door, I'm going to have nothing to go by. And I'm going to use the fender to get my gaps right, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cleave this off. And I'm going to just blindly cut the bottom of the door off, okay? That's what I'm going to do. But before I do that, I'm going to remove this door rubber in here. Okay, I got the door rubber here. I got to take this off so I don't burn it up. It's in good shape, so I'm going to save that. I'll get that door rubber off, and then I'll cut the bottom off that door. So I got the bottom cut off it, but under closer inspection, the front edge of this door looks good shape, okay? So for now, I'm gonna leave all this alone here. I might just turn around and butt weld this down through here and along the edge, so I haven't got to fool around with the inner lip, and I'll keep that seam all the same. Next thing I'd be concerned about now is removing the rust that's down here. All this in here, you can see, is all gone. Like this lip is supposed to come down to here, look. There's a whole section here. I can stick my finger underneath. It's gone all together, right? I'm not even supposed to put my finger in here, okay? This got to come down to about here, come up and go in, right? So, but I got the shape is roughly here, comes down, and it kicks out and comes down to this lip here. That's what it's supposed to do. So I got this shape here to go by. I'm going to clean all this off now. I'm just going to start leaving off sections of this here. Not too concerned about the shape or nothing yet, because the way this all goes, I notice this goes like this here, and this steps out. So I'm going to worry about the bottom side first. This can be tricky, because over here we got nothing to go by. So we got to wing it. I know that it rolls out and it kicks out this way here, and then how it kicks up here. So I got to transfer one to the other. So I figure it's just got to roll out to this, and there's a step lip all the way around here, and for that here to roll in on over. So anyway, it's not factory. We're not going to be concerned about making it perfect. So let's get that all trimmed off and cleaned up. So I went ahead and I got everything cut out of it. I just kept trimming and trimming and trimming. I cut all the rust pieces out of it. Whatever was rusty, I ended up having to get into the front up here. So I cut it off anyway, so I'm not going to be too concerned about it. A lot of times you've seen me talking about leaving stuff there for templates and stuff like that. One thing I found with door bottoms is very hard because it's a generic shape going across the bottom. Okay, it's just the ends that are a little bit tricky to get them figured out. You know, there was very little or anything there, right? Like, you know, this is all I had. This is the lower lip with the skin mounted to it, okay? You can see, and that's the extent of it, and that's all gone. So there's not much there to go by. And then I got this piece here, which comes down off the top piece, which went this way, and then got a little roll on it. So you haven't got a lot to go by. All you know is that you've got this spot to start from, and out here is where you end, okay? But I do know that it comes down from here, right off the bat, comes out and goes down again. So there's going to be two bends in it. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to make a quick little template of what I think I need to make, so then I get an idea of where the bend should be and what it looks like and all that. But first things first, we got everything cut out. So now we got to get an idea of what this middle section is going to shape like. Don't worry about this here. And don't worry about that here. Just concentrate on the middle. You're not going to try to make this all in one piece. Don't even think about that, okay? It's too hard. I've done a lot of these door bottoms. This is a big thing that was in my trade here in Newfoundland, is door bottoms. You know, I think the first one I replaced, I was probably 13 years old, and I've done hundreds of door bottoms. It's second nature to me, and I've tried a dozen different ways, and a lot of it is not to overthink it, okay? So first things first, I'm going to make a template to fit here. So all I did, I took a scrap piece of tin and I started to guesstimate where I wanted the bends to. I knew it had to come out, down, and straight out, and, you know, I made a couple of bends and then come back and retried it again, went over, test fitted it, and this is the shape I come up with. So let's just see how this fits. So here you see, here's the way I got it set up there. You can see the way it's shaped, and I just got that overlapping up there. And it comes down, and then if you look down this way here, there's enough room here now for a skin to come down to fold underneath it. There's a lip there for the rubber to pinch up against that there. Right? So this here is the shape now that I got to make, and I got to go from here over to here. Going through my scrap bin, I found this piece here. I need a piece about 38 inches long, and that one there is 39, almost 39, so that's good for that. This here has a bend already on it. I can incorporate that into that here, so I can use that bend there. So that'll be one less bend I got to worry about. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave all this here, because I'm pretty sure I'll use all that up pretty well. Every bit of that. So I'm just going to cleave this off along here now, straight line. And that'll be my first piece. Okay, so I got the piece all trimmed up. I got the lip left on it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean it up with a 24 grit grinding disc. I'm going to trim that down now. That's been after hooking that a couple times. And I'm going to grind that off, clean that off there. What this is 18 gauge metal. It's old shelving. I have abundance of it and I use it a lot. The car itself is 22 gauge. Someone say, well, why don't I put 22 gauge back into it? But if you're welding patches into a car and you're welding in 22 gauge metal and then you got to grind off everything, okay, you're making the metal thinner. So you start off with a heavier gauge metal, and when it comes time to grind, you can grind this down, and you can grind this down and not have to worry about grinding too thin to that there, right? So I've always done this here. I find it's a lot harder. It's a bit harder to work with the 18 gauge, but it's nicer to weld. You can play with it a lot, and you'll find that you'll get less warpage because of the thickness of it. So you can get away with a lot of stuff with it, right? So I'm gonna get this cleaned up here now, inside and out, and get ready to bend that. So I went ahead, I got this grinded off here now, inside and out. Got it all cleaned up. All I did then is I went over here and I marked it, the first bend. You see I got the mark there, and I've done the same thing on the other end here. Laid that up against it like so, marked it. And all I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna put that in the brake and bend it. This is a simple little metal brake I made, I'd say close on 20 years ago. And there's a video in my timeline. I go over it if you want to see it. Just a simple little homemade brake. As you can see, this 18 gauge is tricky to bend. It fights you. So all I went and did is I went over and I started sizing things up here, and I just said, well, first thing I did is I cut off a piece, cut out the length, and I just laid it with lace there, and I think that fits pretty good there. When I push it in tight, it don't go in past this bottom lip, this lip that you see down here, this edge, this is what I'm trying to achieve, and then it just needs a bit of tweaking on the ends here, and over here as well, when you push in on it. You can see that it lines up nice, and it's got a decent gap on it. I can trim that after the fact and tweak it. I'll work on that. I'd soon have this a little bit long and bent down a small bit, because I can bend this up a small bit to open up the gap and leave that lip there. Sizing up a few other things. This inside here, it's hard to see, the lighting's not good. But in here, you can see I had these holes I had to keep. And this piece here, when I bent it up, I had some extra metal. I left it long there. So I left this a little bit wide, and that goes in a good ways, okay? So I'm thinking I might just weld that in there and then drill them holes from underneath and then cut the bottom piece off when I take the door off. So we'll decide that later, but for now, this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna leave that whole piece there and weld it on. But the first thing I got to do now, one of the reasons why I want to do that, because I got this hole here that I gotta cover, and that metal covers it, okay? So I haven't gotta worry about that one. Up here at this end, I gotta put a little piece in there, and I got to put a little piece in there. So I'll just get some scrap steel now, and I'll make up pieces and get them welded in place there. Nothing fancy. I'm just going to butt weld them in there. I'll cut them to fit, weld them in, and then that'll be done. So that way I can start fitting this piece in here. So I went ahead, and I got a piece welded in there. I got a piece welded in down here. All I've done is put tabs in there, and I cut them, welded them in place. They're hanging off and everything. I'm just going to trim this off here now. And then I'm going to go ahead then. I'm going to fit this piece in, get that ready to weld in. All I did is I grind it in along here, getting all that ready. So now I'll have the upper shape, and I'll cut it so that this here flows up here nice. I'll trim that off, of course, and I'll trim that off down there. So I'll get that trimmed up and get this fitting in place. So I got them trimmed off, and I got everything ground off in there, both sides. I played around fitting this in place, and I had to massage the end of it. And you can see what I got done there. I had to put a bit of a beveled rolled edge on it. And I just put that down on a piece of steel and just hammered it back this way, just so that it actually rolled uphill. Because right here, this got a tendency to come back and go uphill like that. So I want that to fit there. So I'm going to fit this in place now and show you what it looks like. So now you can see the little rolled edge coming up here and it's turning up. Okay, I got a nice seam along the bottom there. When you look up this way here, you can see the actual lip where it's got to be in across here. I got to leave a little room for this here to fit down over for the outer skin to come along here. So I'm pleased with that there as a starting point. You get everything to fit proper. You look down. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go in and tack weld that on inside there. I'm just going to do tack welds on that there because I'm going to end up welding it solid from the other side when it takes it off. So I can fit it on. I want to start building this upper sections here on both ends and get them built. So I'm going to go ahead now and get that piece tack welded in place. So I got that all welded in, tack welded in anyway, and then I got carried away with myself and I went ahead and built this section over here. I got started on it and just lost track of what I was at and realized, hey Tony, you're going to want to see that. I don't mind building this stuff in pieces, okay? It's a lot easier. I'm more concerned about what it's going to look like inside. In here, I'm not too concerned about it because when the panel goes on it and everything's done, I like to have some strength in here more than anything else. So, like I just put a lip on it, roll the edge on it, down here. This is a piece I put in here, down here, this section. You can see where I welded across here. And I welded up to where I grinded that off there. And I put a piece in across here, and there's a small piece in here. And I grind it off. And then I grinded this flush and this flush here because that's where the panel's got to lay. So I got that side done. I'm happy with it. It's got a good gap on the bottom. It's got an even seam coming up through the side over there, right? Because it's a little bit wider than the actual seam for the metal to wrap around. So now over here, I'm going to do the same thing, okay? I got a bunch of things going on here. I got these 3 points here. This point here, this outer flash section's got to come up and meet to here, okay? This has to come up and do the same thing and meet to here. And this one here has to come up and roll around this way. I was already looking at the way there's a small roll in here. So this here section, this line here, you see here, comes up and rotates this way. And then fades out up in here. So when you look at it this way here, you can see the way the belt line goes down through here and then rotate it down around here. You can see there's a bit of a roll panel left on that there, and that rolled from there to there. So what I'm going to probably end up doing is making this piece. I'm going to cut that right off there. Come up here and cut it straight across here and just make up this piece with a little bit of a roll on it. See what I can come up with. I might even just make it one flat piece and then make this here and another piece and weld it on the inside and grind this here to the shape, right? I'll have this here. I like to have this in here so when you look at it, it looks so what original, right? I don't know what this corner looked like originally. I don't even think there's nothing left on the other door, but I'll go have a look, see if there's anything there. If you look at this door here, you can see there's the lip there, and it just tapers off into an edge. And then it rolls off on this edge here, and then comes out. Yeah, I got enough there to go by, and you can see that it just flows in underneath the bottom of it. I'll get down there and have a look at that there now and see how that flows in. Got this scrap piece steel here. I'm not going to overthink this. The more you think about it, the more your brain starts to hurt. So that's all I'm going to do is lay that there. I got lots down here, I got lots out here. Now I'll trim that off there. Leave a little bit of excess, and I'll get that welded on there, and then I'll work all the rest of this after the fact. As you can see, I got that piece put in there. Nothing fancy, okay? I'm not overthinking this too far ahead. I know that this lip has to continue on up through here and then it rolls outwards, okay? I was going to put a roll on it, and the more I thought about it, I had a quick look at the other side, and there's a very slight roll in it, and I can get it when I weld the edge, right? I'll be able to weld down through here. Now the next piece, it'll come along this way. Now that goes tapers on an edge there, out to this corner, but then there's this lip here. This one here that got to continue on. So this lip here now is the next one I'm after. That goes from here and fades out up here. There's very little of it there. But what I've noticed, it comes down here and goes like this, and it just tapers up on a corner. Well now, I can't go overthinking this. I'm here now and I just got to get this to taper off, but I want enough metal there that I can trim it off after the fact. I found this piece over and chopped it off a piece. It already had a curved edge on it. And so I just rolled it in my hand there and rolled it up. So I'm hoping that that's going to work there. And all I'm going to do is just grind off this edge here. I'll grind this off both sides, inside and out. Have that done. And then I'll start putting that up in place there and I'll just start welding it in. I know this is crude. You're going to overthink this. But I got an idea where this is going. And I'm just doing one section at a time. I'm just concentrating on getting this out here straightened away first. And I notice I've got a bit of a taper on it. So let's see what I can come up with. Now you can get fancy and make templates and do all that type of stuff. Nope. I'm just going to go ahead now, blindly put that on there. I have an idea that the angle of this here should be about something like that. And I got to roll this into here. And that got to be rolled into there. A few tacks along here and then I'll start trimming it up. Now, isn't that cruel? Now, Tony, you could have done a better job than that. Look at it in here, look. Oh, boy. Ah, it's not finished yet, boys. It's not finished yet. I'm going to dolly that up a bit more. But I'm on the right track now. I got it rolled out. I'm trying to get it out so that it's pretty well flush with this. A little bit low. You can see it's high there. Down here seems good. So now I can make this bottom piece here. And I can weld that along there. But I want an even gap down along through here. So the piece that I make up along here is symmetrical going up through here and down through here. But I got the angle, that's what I was after. The little rolled edge here, coming off here. That'll be all grinded down and dressed up after, but you can see a little roll on it. Sometimes you get, some stuff is crude when you're doing it, but it'll come around. So I'm gonna go ahead now and continue on with that. Dolly that up, pretty that up, and start making that piece go along there. That's looking a lot better. I played around with it. You can see it's flowing now with the opening in the door. Going along here, and you look at it this way, I got to grind it off so it's parallel here, going down along the rocker. You can see it there. And it's got a nice rolled edge on it. And you look in here, it's got a nice rolled edge in it. I got to dress, I'll finish all that when I take the door off, but you see it got a nice little roll on it all the way down around. And it tapers in on the bottom to flow along there. So I'm happy with that. I'll make this piece up next now. To go from here, I went and cut another section out of the door because I didn't like this is flimsy up here. So I'm going to go from here now and just come all the way down around there with a strip. And then all I'm going to do is blindly find a piece there that'll fit their market, bolt it on, and I'll trim it after the fact, right? Again, I'm not going to overthink this. You can see I got a piece here now. I'm just going to get that. I want it to fit flush there, so I can actually fit that like that. And then I'll mark it on the inside. And I'll mark this here by laying it in place, and I'll cut it off. So I got this piece cut out, trimmed it up. Again, I don't worry about making everything the perfect size. I always want access here because I want it to cut to fit. I'll trim it to fit the car, and that's one of the reasons why I leave the door on, for that reason. Now the door is usually closed. Door's usually closed like that. What I'm doing, I'm opening the door now. I'm just leaving it open a bit so there's a bit of a gap there. All I'm looking to do now is right here, I got that cut, the line up there, and then down on the very bottom as well, the line up there. So I'll tack weld that there, and I'll tack weld up there, and I'll clean that up and down along there, and start welding the inner lip there, so I can get that all welded up. Now if you look at that, when it's closed, you can see that's in past all the way down. So when this piece here fits on over the top of it, it's going to bring it out another little bit for this edge here. So I'm going to go ahead now and get that welded in there. There you have it. all grinded up. Nice little lip all the way around here. Consistent seam down along here and down along here. Parallel to that corner. It's one of the reasons why I like the door on, because I can go by the door. Look down across this here. Nice lining up nice. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to get all this welded on in here now solid. And I'm going to get all this grinded up so I can get ready to take this door off it. So there it is, all welded up and grind up. Okay. You can see how much better now that looks. It was crude to make, but it's looks 10 times better there now. I'm not going to get into finishing off all these welds. I want to give some strength to that metal, and I just cleaned it off just so it looks presentable looking while I'm putting this together. I'm going to end up painting all this now anyway. So I got this all done, and you can see why I want to leave the door on the car to make sure that everything lines up nice. See? So now I can take this door off, bring it over on the bench, flip it over, and I'll dress all the inside. I'll be very particular on the inside. I'll make that all look just so. On these corners and everything, so it just looks when you open the door, all you'll see is the factory style finish on it. Same with up here, do the same thing there. So I'm going to get the fender off of this now and pull the door off it and bring it over and lay it on the bench. As you can see, right, looks cruel. I just got to clean all that up now, grind all it up. Down along here now, I'm going to drill these out, and I'm going to come up here and cut that off. And I'll have a whole new piece on the bottom of the door. Over here, then you can see there's the extra over here. I got to grind it off. But this looks good down through here, the way this fades out here and comes up along here. Grind all that off there. Dress all that up in here. Weld that in there. Of course, I'm going to weld all this down here. Same with this corner over here. And then grind and dress it. This is the side that I want to look good. So when you open the door and you're looking around, all this is here is what you see. This is what I want to look good, especially this area here. I like having a nice seam coming down through here, rolling around here. So when you open the door, you can see this here, and you don't see this all smoothened out with filler and stuff like that. I've seen that many a time over the years. Fiberglass, these whole corners made out of fiberglass. Never liked it. So I'm gonna go ahead now and start cleaning this all up and get this here welded up and dressed. So I got everything grinded up. You can see it here now. That looks a lot better like that now. I got the nice rolled edge on. I got to do some touch-ups on welds, or some spots there now that I'm going to weld up again. Same with along here. I cut the piece off it up along here. But what I did beforehand is I drilled through the existing holes that were there. Okay. Now there was a couple of spots, one here, and then there was 2 right here that I never had any holes for because they were rusted around the hole. And what I did is each hole is the same distance apart, okay? All I did is I cut a section that I cut off right here, and I took the 2 holes and I used that as my guide. And I laid that there, poked the hole there, and then done that, poked the hole there, done the same thing over here, okay? And poked the hole here. So that's how I got the holes for that. So now I got to come back in here and I want to re-weld all this here, this intersection here, so I can grind it all flat. And down here I'm going to have to do some welding, but you can see that looks a lot better now. All cleaned up. I got to do some dressing up in here, weld this up here, have this all transition down through here. Same with this here, right? So I'll get all this re-welded up here now and get that all dressed so that I'm happy with it, so that when you open the door, it'll look nice coming in along through here. So I'm here now, and I got to weld up the inside of the door, and I run out of my gas. Okay? CO2. I run out of my gas. I got to get another bottle. So I'm going to leave that for now. I want to go continue on. I don't want to go leaving this in the middle of this and move be at it. So I'm going to go on now and I'm going to get a piece of steel and I'm going to turn around and cut it and start making this outer skin. This will have no bearings on what I got to finish off in here because I'm only fitting all this on and getting this close to where it should be. But I'll have a skin made. I'll put a bit of a crown on it. I'll have it cut so it's a little bit longer on either end. It's going to have a roll lip on the bottom that's going to tuck in like this here. But on the sides, I'm going to have to wrap it around. Now, I'm debating on whether to leave this here or not and do a cut and butt down through here, come in, and then join it on in here. I haven't decided that yet. I'll decide that when it gets to it, because the biggest problem I got over here is I got to take the hinge off, and I don't want to go lose my alignment right now. I don't mind having to do it later, but if I got to do it now, it's going to fool everything up trying to get everything fitting back on the car again. So I'm going to go get a piece of steel, cut it to this shape here now, and get it all figured out to make a door skin. I went out in the van to get go through my sheet metal and everything, and I had to see what I had. I had some Chev stuff out there, some door bottoms for Chevs, some door bottoms for Fords. So I had to go through the selection and make sure that I picked the right one. So, you know, I just had to make sure that, yeah, that's the right one. That's the Toyota metal. So here I got that sheet of tin up here, and I got it marked up. This is too wide, this is too high. I'm going to leave the lip on the bottom because I want this lip here. I'm just going to trim this off here and use this as my bottom lip. All I'm going to do now is just blindly cut this off here and off here. So I got a piece to go by. That steel is really good. I'm after getting my use out of that. I still have, I think, 7 or 8 sheets of it out there for sure. I'm going to use a lot of that on the floors in the Toyota. So I'll be able to use this piece off of this one, make a door bottom. So I got it all trimmed up. So now I got a starting point for a door bottom, and it is the right one. Yeah, see? Toyota door bottom. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run over the English wheel. This here is flat this way here, but it needs a small bit of a crown in here. So I'm going to run the English wheel through the small bit going lengthways. Just take my time running straight beads and just trying to get this here to crown this way a small bit, just to help it along. And so that way it'll fit on the panel better. So let's get that done now. So maybe wondering about that coating. It seems to work best kind with the coating on it. I've had to use it a few times now. Looking to get it started, just to put a bit of a positive crown on it. As you can see, doesn't take much, right? That's roughly about where I want it. I applied a lot of pressure to this, and you know, I might have a couple marks or something on it. I don't mind that. I'm going to be filling it anyway. So this is ready to go. Next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to roll over this lip right here. I'm going to take my yardstick. I'm going to clamp that in place there, like so. And I'm going to tap that over that lip there. So then I got the bottom lip done. That way I can just fit it up on the door, and all I got to worry about is my two sides. I haul up my old trusty piece of I-beam. It's nice and straight and flat. Top of my bench is a bit been through the war and back, so I don't really trust it for flat edge. But all I'm going to do here now is I'm just going to take this here and clamp the yardstick onto the I-beam every so often. Like so. Four of them should be fine. The yardstick is not long enough of the panel. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to come to about here somewhere and get this section here straightened away, flattened out down here, and then I'll slide it down and do the other end. All you do is you just start rolling it over. You don't roll it over all the way. Bring it a little bit each time and slowly work your way across. Because if you bends it over all the way, you're going to stretch the metal, and then you're just going to have waves all over the place. There you have it, all rolled over. Now you choose these here, the width of these here depends on the type of vehicle it is. You look at the ones that are on the doors from factory, and the Toyotas are very, very narrow. Okay, some are a little bit wider, whatnot, right? But these here are very narrow on the Toyota, and that's why I got it made like this here. And I never measured it. I'm just eyeballing it. A lot of stuff I do, I just do by eye. So I know that I got to have a lip around the bottom side of it, and that's it, you know. That's the width of it. I'd say that's probably a little more than 1/4 of an inch there now since it's rolled over. But using the ruler, it leaves a little bit of a gap there, okay? Going along there now. That'll fit up over the edge of it. Some people just bends it on a 90, puts it on the door, and then rolls it over. I prefer to do it this way here because now I got something that's going to hold on the door. And what I'll do is later on is I'll hammer this down again even tighter to the door itself. And I'll probably put, there's a couple little spots here. I'm probably going to drill a couple of spots on this here so that I got spot welds to weld the bottom of the door skin on. The coating, I never bothered to grind none of it off on the inside. I want to have something in here, okay? I left the coating alone. It's almost like a powder coating or something on these here. So now down in this lipped edge here, where usually there's never any paint, from the factory, I got some paint inside there, so when I clamps this on place now, there'll be some protection down there from when water gets down there. And it's not how, you know, it will get there, right? It always manages to find itself to get down inside them edges. That's the reason why door bottoms rust off, is because of that, right? So now that I got this all straightened away, you can see the other side here. It's a nice lined edge going all the way down here. I'm going to take this now, bring the door over, set the door up on the bench, and do a test fit on the door. Just a quick little test fit. Seems to fit pretty good here. I noticed that the overall height is different from one end to the other, but I noticed when I measured it, this side, this panel here is a little bit longer than this panel, because I never exactly made a perfect cut here. But I want to have that even up there, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. What I'm going to do now is flip the door over and fit it back on there again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself probably 3/8 of an inch or so down here. I'm going to mark the back side of this here to what's on the door there now, and then I'm going to come back about 3/8 of an inch and cut it off so I get the angle right, and that way I can fit it onto the car with the door mounted, and it won't be too much interference on anything. Right? I'll do the same thing over here. You can see the way I got that done there. I'll probably just leave all that there, and I'll just come down there and go parallel to that there, all the way down through there, and I can trim it all on the car itself. So there we got it in place there now. I moved it around, so I was happy to where it was going to be too, because over here I got a little hole, and it seems to be too close to the edge here, and I want to cut this bottom lip right off here. I want to cut this off on an angle this way, see? So I want to have the bottom lip all straightened away. So all I got to do is just put the side lip on it here. And same with over here with the side lip on here. Now the thing with this here rolls in around the edge. So I got to come back here, cut this off, and I'll just make the piece to go here. Now someone's saying, well, Tony, just fold this up on an angle. The problem being with all that is this is not a straight edge, okay? You see the way that tapers in like that. That's very tricky to try to get that to bend up and roll it around. You can probably do it, you know, fool around with stuff like that. All I ever do with this here is when I get this lip here straightened away, where I'm happy with it, I'm going to build my inner lip here, and I'm going to weld my edge all the way down through here, and then I can grind it off. So I get a nice, crisp, rolled edge. When you're bending this stuff, it's only going to bend up on a 90 degree, okay? That's the problem you're going to have. And the same thing going on down here. This here's got a curvature in it like this, okay? It's curved. So just bending a 90 on it is not going to work. So a lot of door bottoms, it works great on. I know a lot of GMs are just, one side is actually 90 degrees and you just bend it up, but you can see this one here now, the distance from here to here, how much it changes. That'll tell you how much that is off by that degree, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark this. I'm going to leave about this much of it all the way down through here. So I can grind to fit it, I'll grind it back with the grinder. But I'm going to remove this section here on the bottom of the skin. Went ahead and put a marker down through there, and then I'll come back off of that there now and I'll cut that off there. That'll give me lots of room. And I got that mark to cut off there and I'll cut that strip off it. One more thing I want to point out here. I have a gap right here, okay? I was concerned about that because I may need it. I'm not sure what this bottom gap is going to be like. I may have to grind the bottom of the door off so I can move this up. So I know for a fact I can come up almost an eighth of an inch on the bottom of the door to get a nice seam on the bottom. So that's what I'll end up doing. I got a nice lip all the way along there with a rolled edge, and that can still go up and be flush to that. Because a lot of the panels on this here, the actual skin rolls over flush in tight spots up along here. So down here won't really matter if it's tight down here on the very bottom. It's just that I got room that I can slide this up if I need be. I got that all trimmed off. I got the corner cut back here. I got the corner cut here, and I got this trim back here. So that's ready to fit on it. Now, next thing I got to do is put the door back on the car. Some of you are saying, oh, Tony, why don't you just put it on it? That should fit now. I can tell you, many years of experience to tell you that these edges, I've fooled them up more times over the years trying to do cut corners. Best place to do them corners is on the car. So there it is. I just got it tacked in there, just laid in place there, fitting up. I'm very pleased with it. I got a couple of clecos in either corner. You've seen me use them many times before. Just drill a 1/8 hole and it just fits into the 1/8 hole. And you can see the panel is sticking off. I like to see this because it's consistent from one side to the other. Because the panel wants to relax, okay? I can push in on that, that's fine. But where the panel, if that panel was straight and wobbly like that, you'd have an easier time warping it. But where that panel is stuck off here, that's going to want to relax this way. So when you start welding it on, it's going to want to pull back this way, which is good, okay? Because it's a lot easier to take a high spot out than it is to try to get that all caved in. We worry about that when it comes to it. But I was very pleased. I figured I was going to have to trim the bottom of the door up. But no, there's a good gap on the bottom of that. Very good gap. All the way along that. It's out a small bit. I haven't got it flattened out or nothing yet here. Right, and it's still out a small bit. I can tweak that in there. But I'm pleased with it. Now what I got to do is I got to start trimming these sides. So I get the gap to go down through there. So the door skin's in place here now. What I'm going to do, I never put the fender on it yet because I can't open it with the fender on. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to trim this side up here just simply with the grinder. So I'm going to grind this off down along here so I can get a nice seam down here so it looks like the finished product. I cut off a section of it that I started grinding and using the body of the car to set up my door seam that I want. Now that I got that straightened away and I'm happy with that there, I know where my edge is going to be and I can actually make my inside piece, and then I can weld it on right along this edge here, and I'll grind and dress that edge after when I fits it back on the car. But I'm very pleased with that. That came out. Up here now, I got to bolt the fender on. I got to leave the door closed, and I'll just start trimming it so that I got an opening there and then I'll start grinding it with the grinder, doing the same process that I've done back here, and I'll just use the fender as a guideline, and I'll get that one trimmed up. So as you can see, I got the fender mounted on, I got my door seams all set up here. Now here you can't open the door because this is overlapping thing, so I'm going to take the zip blade now and just come to the closest to the fender I can come, and I'm just going to start trimming it off down through here. So I got an opening there that I can open and close the door if need be. And then I'm just going to start trimming it back, trimming it back, trimming it back so I get a nice seam down through there. Same process as what I did on the back. It's just that over here, I can't open the door. I'm going to have to do all the work right where's to. That's all I did. I got a nice seam down through there now. So now I got that all set up like that, and those where all that can go. I can take the door off it now, and I can do finish all this off over on the bench, because this is my edge that I got to go by. And when I welds all this, I have a lot there. I can come back and I can fine tune that after the fact. So that's basically it now. I got the door bottom made. Take it off and weld it up. So I got everything re-welded. Now I got everything grinded off. Up here is a bit of an overlap. I'm not too concerned about it. Gets on the bottom of the door. And over here I got this off. I end up having to take the hinge off it. I marked the hinge in a couple of locations here, so I can actually hopefully I can put it back in the right place. But it was a lot easier because I'm right behind the hinge here. And I still haven't decided whether I'm going to remove this section or not. We'll see. But I'm just going to play it by ear, because now I got to do is I got to flip this over and get the inside prepped and get it painted. So I got this all cleaned up in here, and I cut this back a bit more. I'm trimming it off. I'm debating and still debating on what to do over here. I'm going to decide that when I put the skin on it. But there's one more thing I need to do with this car. Okay. These came out in the early 70s when they come up with crash testing and stuff like that. They put the door bars in the cars. It's a safety feature they put in the cars. I got a full cage going in this with its own door bars to protect me. This is weight, okay? This is weight in this door. These doors are heavy because of this. So I'm going to remove this this bar here out of this door. If I had a 72 or 70 model, they wouldn't have been there, okay? It was only in the later models that they came. So it's not like I'm removing any structure out of the car, because it's a safety feature, and I'm putting it back in with the cage that I'm putting in the car now. I have rocker bars that are going in the car here, right? Side impact bars here, and I also have a door bar that goes down through here, so that'll replace the safety of that. So to me, it's just I'm just looking for little ways that I can save a bit of weight, and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead now and start removing this. This is held in with spot welds along the sides here from the inside here. I'm going to drill them out. All I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in a few sections here now so I can get at it and see if I can cut it in half, because now's the time for me to remove this, and then I'll just drill out the spot welds on either end and then remove 2 of these sections. That is probably one of the biggest door bars I ever saw in my life. Usually I only see them, they're about this big, right? About 5-6 inches long. My God, this one goes from here all the way up to here, right through the whole door. And that's heavy plate steel. So I'm going to go ahead now and drill these out. I have spot welds like this on the other side as well. I'm going to try drilling them out first and see if I can break it clear. I wonder if I can get it out one piece. If not, I'll just cut it in half or cut a piece out of it so I can get it out. Now it's time to do it where I got the bottom out of the door. So I'll get these all drilled out now. Well, that was a nightmare. I got it out. I started out by drilling these out. Of course, these were not part of it, only up here were. It was a hardened weld, okay? I was going through drill bits and I couldn't get through them, and I was trying all different techniques and everything to try to get out of it, and I just said, Natoni, give up on it. You're not getting it out of there, okay? I ended up cutting it out with a plasma cutter on the inside the door. Taking the plasma cutter, cutting the inside the door to get the piece out of it. This thing is huge. I've never seen a door bar that big in my life, okay? Just to put that in perspective. That's it laid on the door. I went in the house and I weighed this. This is 13 pounds. There's a lot of weight in this, right? You know, in one door. So We usually remove them from a lot of doors from the race cars and everything, but like I'm trying to keep this as a street car, so I'm not going to cut all the interior panels. Like I can get a lot more weight out of the door, but I'm not doing that. This is just one of the big major things you can cut out, and to get weight out of the car. A lot of times fellas start cutting all this stuff out and leaving all this alone. I'm happy with that there. I'm not looking to make this a lightweight car, but if there's stuff there that I feel I don't need, I'm just going to remove it. That doesn't interfere with the functionality of windows and locks and latches and hinges and stuff like that, right? And that don't. When I took the plasma cutter to inside the door here, over on this side here, I even had this piece of tin slid between the panel and the brace to help with the plasma cutter. But I done a few upsies. Look, I still got through. I still burnt holes through this plate and burnt holes in the door. I'll fix that. It's not like it's not another hole on Crusty. But then that's all you can do. I gotta do a test fit on the outer skin, get the skin fitting and get that trimmed up to where I'm happy with it. Figure out what I'm gonna do with these edges. Something tells me I'm just gonna end up cutting this off over here and going down through here instead of trying to do a butt weld down through here. And I'll just gotta weld all this seam here because I gotta weld this much of it anyway. So I'll probably just cut this up on an angle here, trim that off, and get the skin ready so that it's going on there, and then I'll paint all this. So I went ahead and I went and applied some paint to the inside of this here. It's nothing fancy, okay? It's just a rust paint. I buy large cans of it just to put on stuff. I just like putting a rust paint on it. I don't use none of the weld through primers. It's extremely expensive. Sometimes you can buy 3 cans of this for the price of a weld through primer. So I don't bother with it. And I've had troubles with it in the past where it doesn't like to adhere to it. And I just find that just simple rust paint is all I've ever used, okay? So I got this here, inside here all done. I got the bottom side all painted in here, so when the lip folds and over, there's paint on it all. From factory, there's never ever paint on this, okay? On either side of this here. Now I got a bit of paint on it all, so it should last a good while. Up here now, I trimmed off the top of the sheet, because before it was going a bit high on this end, so I trimmed it down. Then what I went and did is I cut back my corners. This is where the panel will end, okay? I cut that back there. That makes it easier to get this out of here, so that this here will butt against this here and then come across here, and then I'll spot weld across here and then it'll cut and butt across here. Why don't I just cut it all out now? Because I got some support there, and I like using the cut and butt method on large panels like this here, so that way I haven't got to worry about trying to work it across here with doing a cut to fit type method, right? I find this a lot easier doing it this way here and just taking my time going across, and then I can remove that from the inside. So now I got this all ready. I got to get a few holes drilled in the door skin and fit that on. All I went and did is I cleaned up the inside lip here, and I drilled little 1/8 holes along here, okay, for spot welds. You could probably make them bigger, but I just find that it's going to end up burning a little bit of a hole, and the too big of a hole is just too hard to weld, right? I just want enough there to get a little bit of penetration on them, just enough there to hold the skin on after the fact. I done that, and I also cleaned up my edges on the back side here. You see where it's going to be welded. So I'm not going to do nothing with this here. I'm going to leave all this alone. There's going to be protection on the inside of it, and this out here later on I'll grind off after when I get it all welded on. So I'll go ahead now and get that fitted on the car. So I got it laid in place. I got it pushed in up over the lip there, and I got it lined up on the clecos again. You can see now where I trimmed it off that there's a butt weld there, and then it's a butt weld over here. And then you can actually see here now, when I hold this here, there is no straight edge there, okay? So, it's kind of hard to fold edge over here. If this one here is not as bad, but the bottom corner, this one here is not so bad. But that bottom corner is an issue, where that tapers in there. Like, they only having a bent lip to here, and then you'll be trying to work this corner in, and then it just won't look nice. So I just assumed do the whole thing with just a piece on the back side of it. But I'm not worried about that right now. All I'm going to worry about now is up here. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to tack weld the corners on it and work my way across. Now, one thing about this here, if you look at it, you can see that this is high. This is what I likes to see, because if this was going the other way and pushing down, when I welds it here, this is going to want to pull this way. But this here got a springiness to it. It's wanting to pull up from the panel. So when I starts welding this here, this is going to want to come back towards me. When it wants to relax, it wants to relax upwards. So it's always a little bit of an advantage to have the whole panel a little bit high, so you got to push down on it just very slightly to get it to fit. So I'm going to go ahead now and tack weld this in place all along here and start welding this in. You can see I got it welded there every 4 inches or so. I started in the middle and worked my way out. When I was pushing down, I was keeping an eye on this panel here. I didn't want to start moving this here and pushing it away, okay? So then I just pushed it down until it just touched, and then I start tack welding on. I also checked to make sure that the panel was rocking the same way, the same height up here as well as up here, which is all good. Everything's fine as kind. So all I'm going to do here now, I'm going to start from this end here now, and start coming across here, doing the cut butt on the 45, and I'm just going to start welding these back on again. So when I cut through these here, I'll cut through a couple, I'll weld one on, I'll cut through a couple more, weld one on, and work my way across the panel like that, and just keep an eye on it so I can get that piece out of the way. Well now, guess I never had the camera turned on, doing the cutting butt across this here. Anyway, I got it done, and this is the piece that I cut out that was right here. I was kind of hoping to show you all that, but you can see all that down there now, and you can see that I hear a lot of people talking about the thickness, about you can't get it. You can see this here, I cannot put that cutting blade through there, okay? Now these blades are 3/64. I'm pretty sure they're 3/64. Have a quick look here. A lot of people ask me about that. Yes, there they are there. That's the thickness of the blade there. 4.5 by 3/64, okay? It's all I've ever used, or just a cheap old cutting wheel. And I cut them on a 45-degree angle. I don't cut straight in like this here, and I don't cut I don't cut it deep, okay? All you do with, if you were cutting, say, over here on this side here, I see a big fellas, you're just cutting it. This is all you do. You drop the blade this far into it. You don't shove the blade in the grinder into it like this here, okay? Don't drop the grinder down into the metal extremely deep, because all you're doing then is this here is just slowly rocking back and forth, and that's just going to cut away this here. You just want to break the top of it. Once you break the top of it, stop and just work your way across doing it that way. So I'm going to go ahead now. All I'm going to do here now is I'm going to start welding between these here. I'm going to let this cool naturally, okay? I'm not going to get carried away with this. This video is getting extremely long. I'm going to let this cool naturally. I'm not going to blow it off with air. Because I blows this off with air, this is going to want to cave on me, okay? I got to keep an eye on it. I want to keep this spot here nice and level and straight across here. So I'm just going to go ahead here, weld along the middle of these here, let it cool down so I can touch with my hand, and continue on from there. This here is the most time-consuming part of this whole process, is welding this up and letting it cool down. Gotta have patience with it. This will make and break the amount of body work you're going to have to do it after the fact, okay? I've been going over here and I've been also welding up these few spots that I blew through. Just put a tack on them here and there, letting it cool off. I want this metal here to feel like this metal here before I start welding again. Any amount of heat in it, over here is still a bit warm, okay? That you're going to find that it's just going to start drawing from you. And I got the straight edge here. I just keep checking it, make sure that it's still high in the middle, okay? I rock it back and forth like so. Make sure that it's not dropping on me here in the middle, because there's nothing worse when that starts to fall. So, just going to take my time. You know, it is what it is. This is the time you got to have patience for this stuff, so you just got to sit there and wait. So I got it all welded up. It took my time. You can see it's just little tiny pulsations of welds, okay? I do not run beads. Don't run beads on sheet metal, and especially in large open panels, okay? The problem we got with welding is that everybody considers welding, it's got to have a beautiful pass on it, okay? You got to put down a roll of nickels and stuff like that. You're not welding quarter plate. It's not structural welding. You're welding sheet metal bodywork. All you're looking to do is fuse together 2 panels. It's got to be all grinded anyway, okay? So don't ever be concerned about how rugged your welds are. Be concerned with getting good penetration. Try not to get your welds too high. When you got them high, you're not getting a good penetration. So play around with it and look at the inside. Make sure that you're getting good penetration. As you can see there, good penetration on the inside, okay? That's all you got to be concerned about, is making sure you're getting good penetration. So nothing has moved on me. This here still got that little bit of rockiness to it. We were wanting to, so it hasn't dropped here. What I'm going to do now, you would think I'd go on and finish it, but I'm going to finish this off first here, okay? I'm going to grind this off with a 24 grinding disc pad on my air grinder. Some people have asked me about backing plates before. A lot of times I just double up on my discs. Like if I'm grinding smaller ones, I'll take a couple of these here and I'll put a smaller one on the back side of it, and that will be my backing pad, okay? I only have one backing pad. That's this size here. I got no smaller ones, and I just double up on my grinding discs when I do it. Okay? Take your time grinding with this here. Don't apply too much heat. Take it down a bit at a time. Keep touching it. Make sure you're not getting no heat, because you can warp this as well. So I'm going to go ahead now and grind all this down and get this finished. Now this is one of the main reasons why you see me using heavier gauge metals. This is 18 gauge, this is 24 gauge, okay? You saw me there going with the grinder. I was grinding this up to this. I was knocking the head off the weld, and then what I was doing is I feather edging it back till it started to go, and I just run over the top of that just a small bit on the top side of it there. I didn't grind this stuff as much. I grinded the weld, this metal here. This metal, I got lots of room here to grind this here, because this is 18 gauge, okay? So I can go over here now and I can grind that. You can see that. And I'll just hit the top of the weld and grind it down. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this all grinded up. There you have it. All grinded off all the way along there. So all that's done there now. This here still rocks the way I wanted to. Just took my time with it. I took my time with it, and I found that I was cooling off pretty good. So everything was fine there on that. And I went up here and I just grinded them off. Had to touch up a few spots again here and there on it, and I grinded them off. So I got the outside pretty well finished here now. So now I got to make my 2 ends. So here we are now. You can see what I got going on here. You can see the little lip is all the way around it. So I got to run a lip right here now to come down through here, step in here, and then wrap around the bottom side here. I went through my collection of scrap steel. I found this is pretty close. So I'm going to trim that up there. Not going to worry about it sticking off right now. I want to get that there to flow nice around that corner to meet there. And I want it to come up here, follow this body line, and then taper off to meet this one here. And I'll just trim that up and trim that up till I'm happy where that's got to be there. And I can actually install that in that edge there. As you can see, I got it all trimmed up. Got a nice little gap all the way along up here. And then it fades out up to here the way the other one does. I got a cut off up here, so there's a butt weld here. And there's a butt weld here. I'll weld this on here now. And up here, and then I'll go on the back side and trim off whatever I don't need on the back side here, because there's only a small strip that goes up along here. And I'll get that all done, and we'll get this one finished. So let's get that welded in. There you have it. I grinded it all up, finished it all off. You can see a nice transition now coming down through here. Flows in around the bottom side of it. Goes around the bottom here and continues on. And I grinded all the outside off it. I got a nice lip all the way along there. Now I'll probably have to fine tune this when I get it on the car. Make sure that it's lined up properly and whatever. But this is what I like about this here. I like having these factory seams all the way down here. Now this will be all seam sealed later on, like the way it was from factory, but you'll still see it, like up here you can still see where it was seam sealed, the factory seam. So I'll do the same thing down here. And I went ahead then and I tapped this all, I hammered all this flat with hammer and dolly, and then welded up them few little spot welds that I had in that there. And then I went ahead and I done this side as well. I got this side done the same way, made up a strip, welded it on. Right, you can see a nice little lip going along there. I got a couple of spots there now I probably got to touch up, but I'm going to wait till I get it on the car and I can do them final dressings up on that. But you can see the way it goes down through there. They got a nice lip on it all the way along there. Okay, this side here is a little bit wider than the other side. I noticed that on the back here, right? No, but that's it. That's the way the bottom of the door can be made pretty simple. You can look at all that there now. There's that nice rolled edge and everything that's going on there. This is one piece. This is like 2 or 3 pieces over here, okay? This here edge made is 2 pieces. Then there's the outer skin. Same with over here. Over here, this is a dozen, probably 4 or 5 pieces used over here to make this corner. But, you know, looks good. I'll get you to show you the other side of it. Nice lip all the way down here. I grinded it all off, get rid of all the white paint off it. All this lip down along here, where it rolls around the edge. All looks nice. Nice straight edge blonde there. Nice and flat. That here now, won't need a lot of filler to straighten that up, which is good. So I'm going to go ahead now and do a test fit on that, see what it's like. And there you have it. Had to do a little bit of massaging and grinding here. I could have just bolted this on and said, look, that's perfect. No, but you know, when you put the door on and you do the repairs off the door and you put it on, there's going to be some tweaking involved in it. I had to bring out this bottom corner, small bit here, and then this section right here was out and I had to tap it in so I can get a nice even line across there. I got all that done. Then this here was a bit thick here, so I just grind it off because it's all welded, so it should be fine. Over here now, that's good there. I got to you know, all that seams best kind down there. I like the seam and everything that's on that. And what I like the most about it is when you open the door, and you look down here, that looks factory. Right? Factory style seam going down through there. And all underneath the bottom of the door, nice seam. You come in around, open up the door, you look in here. See nice seams going on up through there. And opens and closes good. You can see nice gap on the bottom. All the way along. Right. Nice gap along the side there. Nice roll corner going up. Anyway, that's the way I go about doing door bottoms. There's nothing complicated there. I used an English wheel, but other than that, everything else is just basic, simple tools. You know, it's just knowing how metal will move and what way, and the process of doing it. This is how I've always done my door bottoms, this same way. It's a lot involved with putting them on, taking them off, putting them on, taking them off. But, you know, hey, that's all a part of it. So, anyway, I hope the tips were good, and until next time.